Hey, what's up guys? It's ElasticSpyder here, and in today's replay, this is going to be a replay analysis of a ranked match, and this replay is played by Kadavara? I hope I'm saying your name correctly, but you are in APOC, so I feel like I should. But either way, I'm going to be doing this analysis. I know typically we have Sneaky Snake do the analysis, but I'm going to kind of give my thoughts, so although I'm not as good as Sneaky Snake, I do have a good perspective on how he plays, since I do play with him a lot, and also I would consider myself a knowledgeable and good player. So hopefully I can give you some thoughts and some some tips for how you play. So now this is a ranked battle, so it's going to be a little bit different than, let's say, a normal standard battle, but making a C play on the gearing with the gearing is actually a good play. I'm going to kind of stop this momentarily throughout the replay. So initially I'll stop it right here. So we see that our team composition is, we've got a cab. Now if the cab didn't go to B, then I would say probably the gearing should. But since we see that the cab is going to B, we can safely make a play at C. So with that being said, this is already a good start to the replay. I noticed that you do have RPF, and since it is a ranked battle, I don't mind having, I don't mind the choice of having RPF, and same thing with speed boost. Typically I would say defensive fire, but since this is a ranked game, I kind of will let that slide, so to say. But that's completely your decision in that respect for ranked. For randoms, I probably wouldn't recommend speed boost nearly at all, and then also RPF you can use in the gearing. I like to set my gearing up more as an AA boat, sort of, or this like hybrid between AA and good torpedoes and good gun power as well. But that's completely up to your discretion to choose how you like. So initially, this is actually I think another good play. You don't want to go. You have to look on the enemy team. We see that there's two Des Moines aside, so making that early C play is probably not a good idea. You're likely to get radared right away, unless you can make it to an island. But even then, you don't know where the enemy team has been, has deployed. So as we'll see, I've watched this replay. There will be a Yamato that pops up right there, and then we know that there's something at A. And there could be another cruiser or something at A, so this island isn't really viable. This island isn't viable. So staying a little bit farther away initially is not a bad idea at all. It's actually a good idea. And these torpedoes are quite deadly. We see that the smoke screen is coming, and likely Des Moines probably pushed up maybe a little too far, or maybe he asked for smoke, and we can actually see that the Z-52 is actually sending torps that way. So I don't know if it was an intentional cross drop, but it was certainly a good unintentional cross drop, and hopefully we can tag him with some torpedoes. But one thing we have to be careful of is that nearly 10-kilometer radar that the Des Moines does have, and we did see that we were spotting him, and we were last spotting him at about 9.1 kilometers, so it's something to be careful of. The Shimakaze gets popped right there. Don't know if he has concealment or if that was radar, maybe Minotaur radar, but or Des Moines possibly too. But we open up on the Shimakaze here. Another good thing that I noticed is that, I'll kind of stop it here for a second. When we started engaging this Shimakaze, we put this island between us and the Des Moines. That is nearly perfect play. And actually, if we look at this Yamato, yeah, we have to, have the option for the Yamato to shoot at us. But as soon as the Shimakaze goes behind the island, then we're safe from that Yamato until the Des Moines radars. So at this point, trying to make use of the island cover, this is good so far. Again, just have to be wary of that 10-kilometer radar. So the Minotaur dies surprisingly early. Don't know what he was thinking. I don't know if that was maybe a radar Minotaur or what, but that was certainly not a good decision on his part. So we're just going to sit at this island. Again, there's not much we can do. But now that we know the Des Moines radar is down, the Shimakaze is still likely either in this... Well, he's definitely in this direction. And we actually get spotted there. Don't know if this is the Shimakaze spotting us right now. Yes, it was. So the Shimakaze... Oh, it's actually gearing. No. So I'm not exactly sure what spotted us there. Possibly there was a Shimakaze. But we're gonna send more torps into this vicinity, and hopefully we can get some torpedo hits. And again, since we know that the Des Moines radar is down, we can actually, start radaring. And well, would you look at this? This is not expected. Nothing I can say here. And oof, if these torps were a little bit closer, we would have been really in a really bad position. But thankfully that didn't happen. Again, not sure what this cab is doing. I'm thinking he's a stealth cab, which is just beyond me, but this is the right idea. I would actually say that the one thing that I would critique in this position, and it actually works out here, I don't know if this is by luck or what, but typically every time we get a nice torp hit on something that is... Okay, nice. So typically when you enter a cap, you want to position yourself so that you can get out easily. So what I would actually have you do, since the radar is down, I would actually say go up to this position here, like you're doing right now, and actually be able to be ready to get out of the cap. If the Des Moines radar, came up sooner than you anticipated, you can leave the cap. With that being said, your decision here of staying near this island is also not a bad one. It's just that with Des Moines radar, you're stuck there for a solid... If he doesn't have radar mod, then you're stuck there for a while. And in this position now that they've got this B cap, that position might not be viable if the Des Moines does radar you. Granted, that is like a 16-kilometer shot on a destroyer that's moving slightly, so it is kind of a difficult shot to make, but just something to think about when you do when you do make these entering cap decisions. Now here, I think this was a bit of a misplay here. So I think what you should have done is come out this way, like this, instead of coming out this way. So this way, the reason being is now you're stuck with a Des Moines in front of you, and you've got 8 kilometers to go. And we get a nice kill on the Shimakaze there with some anticipated torps, I will say. But had you come out this way, you'd already be at 9 kilometers, and you wouldn't be taking nearly as much damage as you are now. Granted, you aren't taking that much damage right now, but especially when you've got 2 Des Moines here. You've got a Des Moines here and a Des Moines there. You just lost, almost 2/3 of your HP. So had you come out more like this, since you know this Des Moines at your island, and look, this is the thing. You've got an 11.1 kilometer gun range, so kind of use that to your advantage. Put that gun arc or that gun line kind of right where you anticipate the radar to be. So use it as a reference, I guess I'm trying to say. Use it as a reference. So the Des Moines radar is only 10 kilometers, so use it as a reference point. So if the Des Moines radar is 10 kilometers, then, don't really get much closer to Des Moines than really your gun range is. I know that it doesn't make much sense, but, use it to your advantage. Again, I'm not sure what's spotting us here, unless the Des Moines actually did move up, which is probably the case. So he probably radared, and he's probably pretty close there. So, but again, that's just something to, you know, use as a reference point. And that's one of those things that uh, it's kind of, you don't really think about using while you're actually, you know, in game playing. And I know that the heat of the moment kind of situations is, it's not always cut and dry on what you should do, and it's not always intuitive and, you know, it comes to mind, but something to incorporate into your gameplay. You know, use the tools available to you. You know that the Des Moines is still sitting at that island, and so use your tools around you is the bottom line. Now here, again, since you know the Des Moines has radar, I think you could probably do some scouting here. I don't think it's a bad idea. However, since you know that it is a Des Moines that has radar, I actually think that the option to go after this Yamato is actually probably a better one. So, you know, I'm giving you options here on what you can do. And I don't know if you actually were aware that his radar was still down or whatnot, but just something to think about. But I do think this is a good decision, and these torps are also a good decision. You know that this Yamato has to come into the cap, so you're gonna put some anticipatory torps down range, and we're gonna try and spot him again. Now, since I did watch this replay beforehand, and I've kind of made some small notes. Apologize for the vacuum if you can hear it in the background, but one thing I do want to point out though is this decision coming up here, smoking. Now, I'm not talking about smoking cigarettes because those are obviously bad for you, but smoking in this position here, and I'll kind of, I don't know if I should stop it, maybe I'll slow it down. So right now you're broadside to this Yamato, you just get a torp hit and flooding, you see that and you initially smoke up. That's your first instinct when you get a flooding. Now, the second thing you have to think about is, okay, this Yamato might actually rush me. His DCP might be down, but, you know, he needs this cap, and he knows your torpedoes are down for, you know, at least another 40, 45, 50 seconds, whatever. He knows they're down. So you have to plan an escape route if this Yamato just completely YOLOs and rushes your smoke. And again, a little bit of game knowledge. You know, this is a Conqueror player, and you know that he is probably a good player. I know that he is a good player, but you know, knowing good clans is actually somewhat useful. So you know that this guy is pretty likely to smoke shoot you, and it's likely that he is actually probably going to hit you, especially at 4 kilometers. So what I personally would have done is actually smoked like this, so that when you do smoke up and start shooting, you kind of have this island, and he has to get within 2 kilometers of you. So here, another mistake that I'll point out is if we take a look at these Yamato guns, and I don't know if you guys can see this on the replay, but actually. So let's take a look here. So we know, I know I stopped this replay a little bit earlier, but this Yamato's guns, they're looking towards you, but by the time because let's put it this way, his guns they're kind of looking towards you, but the thing that's key here is getting a reset, and you have to take, this is kind of the risk reward factor. If you shoot, there's a potential that the Yamato will actually shoot back at you. But once you get to this threshold point where you're at, the cap is so close to being capped that you have to take that risk to reset it. And you know that it's a Yamato, you know that it has very slow turret traverse, so you have to take this information and use it to your advantage. And I think the biggest misplay here was actually letting this Yamato cap. Now, with that being said, these torps look good. Probably would have held on to the second set, just in case this Yamato actually does come rush us. But, so that, I do think that was probably the biggest misplay of this replay, was was actually not shooting that Yamato, especially right before he goes behind the island, because you're in smoke, you've got that advantage of being somewhat concealed, and you also have, you were controlling that situation and you kind of let it go, is what I'm going to say. So, with that being said, Yamato does do some nice torpedo beats. I guess one option that could have improved those torpedoes, the likelihood of those torpedoes being hit, is actually doing this reverse, because you can use your whole smoke screen. So had you, and actually, you know what, adding to this, had you shoot that Yamato, and then backed up behind this island as he was about to, go behind this island, he wouldn't have been able to shoot you, because he would have to acquire you, see where you shot in smoke. Then he would have to turn his guns, and then by that time, there's no chance that you're getting shot. So that is something also you could have done. And then with those torps, you could have spanked him again really, really hard. They're not the biggest of misplays. You didn't lose a lot of health, and you were being pretty conservative with your health, because you know that you could potentially die from a Yamato salvo. So I do like the conservativeness of your decisions here, but had this been much closer, maybe a battleship and a cruiser on the enemy team, and then 2 or 3 ships on your team, including yourself, then this could have been a much, much different story. And again, granted, since this Yamato is running away, you could just go and recap it, so there is that option as well. But I'm just saying, in that situation, it could have been a little bit better, and at this point, the Yamato's not looking at you. As soon as he does look at you, you can smoke up, and you can basically just farm him. Or you could smoke up and then farm him. So one thing here, just to increase your kind of damage total, I'll play it slowly, is actually instead of going, keep going this way towards, behind this island, go, let's see if I can't stop this in a nice position. So instead of going this way and putting the island between yourself and this Yamato, you should have turned this way. The reason being is his guns are facing out that way, towards this island. And the other thing too is, you notice that this Yamato has somewhat of a secondary build, so if you put yourself more behind him, then he only gets one secondary gun turret to shoot at you. And so that does mitigate your damage. And the other thing too is you still have a smoke left, so you can utilize the smoke. So again, had you gone to this position here at the edge of this cap, one, you probably could have gotten the cap. I don't know if there's enough time actually, but you could have farmed this Yamato a little bit more. Granted, it's the end of the game, it doesn't really matter, but getting that extra 5-6k damage kind of puts some players above the rest. Okay, so this is a bit of a weird, don't even ask. Unfortunately, I don't have any screenshots. I tried to upload it to Wild's replay to kind of get at least 2 of the screenshots. Unfortunately, I was not able to. But we saw that we got around 72,000 damage there. We got, I think, 2 ships killed. And we did, it was a good match. I would say that was a good, solid match. It wasn't extravagant, but in ranked, 70k damage in a destroyer. And we got at least one of their destroyers killed. So it was a good game overall. For gearing and ranked, I thought it was a good game. Again, some small misplays, but I think overall we did a good job, and I hope this was a learning experience for everyone. I hope Kadavara, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I hope you learned something, and anyone else that likes to play destroyers, or even US destroyers more specifically. I hope this helped you guys out. And again, I know I'm not the sneaky snake, but it is what it is. I hope you had I have a different perspective, so I hope, again, you learned something at the end of the day. So I hope you have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you guys later.